Hey everyone, and welcome to Boss Advisory. Today we're going to talk about fighting mediocrity and think big for a better life. The majority of people will never actually succeed. There is too much pressure to settle with mediocrity. The environment is attempting to drag you down to second-class street, as David Schwartz once observed. Most people are unable to resist the lure. Small-minded mentality permeates a lot of the world. Most people are unduly focused on outsmarting the opposition, usually through political maneuvering. They are therefore forced to compete for scraps with the other 99%. This is not necessarily the case. A life of your dreams, complete financial independence, being your own boss, and family vacation throughout the globe. Whatever you need is accessible if you know where to look. But the majority of people never leave the security and safety of the throng to realize this. Most people are not willing to fail. Most people despise losing. They appear to be fleeing from it. If they are bad at something, they are bad overall. Any failure is evidence because their sense of value is intimately related to how well they perform. They are not up to par. However, this is precisely why they'll continue to be mediocre. If they are unwilling to take a loss, they are unable to gain knowledge from their errors. They won't mature and become anything if they never learn. Do you want a success recipe that I can provide you? Simply double your rate of failure. It's that easy. Failure is not at all the enemy of success, contrary to what you may believe. Failure can either depress you or teach you to continue making mistakes. Do everything you can to succeed because, as you should always keep in mind, according to Thomas J. Watson, if you're not willing, you may be sure that you'll continue to perform only averagely. You have to be willing to fail frequently if you want to develop into an outstanding version of yourself. Success breeds humility. It helps you grow as a person. It enables you to laugh at your errors and stop taking yourself so seriously. Your growth rate will 10 times more quickly accelerate if you move a plant from the shade to the sun. When I initially started blogging, I was especially afraid about receiving bad feedback. "This is the worst essay I've ever read," was one of the comments on an early article that I can still clearly recall. For months after that, I couldn't stop crying about it. I tried to keep every one of my articles as bland and uninteresting as possible. I used to think to myself, no one could critique this, before hitting publish. I was dreading rejection and failure. As a result, I struggled with average and terrible writing for years, until I finally started to accept the idea of failure. William Hardy put another way, seek for criticism rather than praise. You can achieve incredible success like you've never seen it before if you accept the chance of failure. The mediocre majority doesn't value learning. Most people would prefer pleasure and diversion to education and development. It is not unexpected. Learning is difficult. Attending counseling, honing your craft, and failing repeatedly aren't enjoyable. According to Elrod, repetition can be monotonous or dull, which is why so few people ever become proficient. For the rest of us, though, this is a fantastic news. Darren Hardy, an incredibly successful businessman, once said that he always appreciates difficulty because it indicates that most people won't attempt it. There will always be little competition. Even while setting learning and self-improvement as a priority may be foreign to you. Remember that for every day you read a book, millions of people don't. In order to build and manufacture millions of others, you got up early every morning. While millions of others gave up, you continued. Ironically, the second-class rewards face the most fierce competition. When you make learning a priority, you start to recognize the 1% of possibilities that can actually change your life. More importantly, there is remarkably less competition for these possibilities. Most people will keep competing with the average majority for meager scraps. You don't want to win that game. Instead, put an end to the game. leave the crowd, select self-education and learning over entertainment and diversion. Winners act like winners before they become a winner. Most people secretly doubt their capacity for remarkable achievement. It's a prediction that comes true. No doubt. You won't succeed if you don't think you can. Despite blogging for 4 years, I never exceeded 200 subscribers. I can now clearly see that I never sincerely thought I could generate truly excellent writing. I've increased my subscription count by more than 5,000 during the last few months. This is a result of my beginning to take my writing and myself seriously. I started to believe. I began to behave like a winner even before I experienced any success. What did I do then? I spent $500 on a writing course. I started getting up every day at 6 a.m. to write. I've invested hundreds of dollars in self-help books. I conduct myself with the confidence of someone who is aware that they are among the top online writers. I will soon be. Nobody believes they can gain something until they are ready for it. According to Napoleon Hill, if you tell your mind what to do, it will carry it out. My current objective is to amass 100,000 subscribers in the next 6 months. It's ridiculous that I genuinely think this is possible. My mind is constantly thinking of methods to make this as a result. Most people will never feel the rush of acceleration right after starting. Winners behave like winners before they become winners in order to fully feel that great success is achievable. Their mind begins to consider how to get there since they have faith in their ability to succeed. You seek money and titles, not experience and transformation. When I was only 23 years old and had a tiny blog that received fewer than 50 visits per day, I joined an entrepreneur networking group. These men intimidated me. They like going to pubs where a beer costs $11 and are dressed in suits like cracking odd jokes. They referred to themselves as investors, CEOs, and founders. A few weeks later, I stopped going. There were many wonderful, compassionate men and women in that circle, but there were also many who enjoyed discussing their titles only casually. An expert or CEO of anything can be anyone. You will undoubtedly arrive at the end of the path feeling empty and depressed if titles and money are your only goals. Experiential learning and personal growth ought to be your top priorities. According to Viktor Frankl, if you persistently strive for achievement, it will elude you since happiness cannot be achieved through success. Success will draw toward you like a magnet if you consistently prioritize amazing personal change and paradigm-shifting events. I recently completed reading Memoirs of a Geisha, a heartbreaking tale of a girl who was sold into slavery in order to appease men. The young geisha's ignorance of the fact that she has spent her entire life pursuing the wrong is the saddest part. Attempting to win a man's love, she believed that if she could perform well enough, this man's love would finally bring her the solace and commitment she had always desired. Most people devote their entire life pursuing the wrong goals, such as money, sex, security, and acceptance. You won't get what you want from these. Forget about titles and trying to impress people. Make it your goal to develop into a person of the utmost pride. You spend more time being jealous than working on succeeding. You waste every second you spend being envious. In this world, time is limited. The most prominent and prosperous people frequently committed crimes in their later years. How incredibly quick everything moved. If you continually focus on what other people are doing, you won't have time to be jealous. You rarely display your true self. Your values and conduct don't always match, which makes you sad. Our suffering is largely brought on by our personal incongruence, and not being you will kill you. According to Tim Dinning, choose to invest that time on improving yourself rather than wallowing in mediocrity and playing the comparison game. I've heard that harboring resentment and jealousy is similar to drinking poison and expecting the other person to perish. That struck me as a startlingly accurate depiction. 4 straightforward words were among the best bits of advice I've ever heard on this subject. Maintain your lane. Neither how much faster they are moving nor how much faster you are moving matters. You will crash if you keep looking at other lanes. Concentrate on you. Study everything you can. Explore, fail, quickly figure out what works, and then get momentum. You'll realize how quickly you are moving one day when you glance around. Stop being envious and spend all of your free time learning and developing. In conclusion, most people will continue to be average. They'll keep competing against the majority for fair to poor rewards. This need not to be the case. You are on the right path to a life that is both extremely interesting and fulfilling. There are no crowds, it's free, and it's open. One of the most exciting choices you'll ever make is to move from an ordinary life to an extraordinary one. You'll feel more alive than you've ever felt thanks to the learning, development, and growth you'll experience on this journey. Select excellence over mediocrity. Select education over amusement. Select self-improvement over jealousy. Decide on what you want, not what other people want. Thank you guys so much for watching Boss Advisory, and if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and hit the bell so you get notified on every new incredible content we make for you. Have a wonderful day, and see you on the next one.